The last bus had left 10 minutes ago, and Caleb was still standing there, watching his breath turn to mist in the November air. Across the bench sat a woman in a designer coat, shivering so hard her shoulders shook, her arms wrapped tight around herself like she was trying to hold her own pieces together. He didn't think. He just unzipped his old work jacket and held it out. "Here. You need this more than I do." She looked up at him with eyes that had forgotten what kindness looked like. Caleb Romano had the kind of tired that sleep couldn't fix. At 32, he'd worked the same warehouse job for 8 years, loading boxes that other people would open with excitement on their doorsteps. He lived in a studio apartment where the heater rattled and the neighbors fought at 2 a.m., but he paid his rent on time and he didn't complain. His mother raised him to notice people, to see them. And tonight, he saw her. The bus stop on Archer Street wasn't in a good part of town. The bench was cracked plastic, the shelter's glass was fogged with old grime, and the route only ran until 9 p.m. It was 9:12 now. Caleb had missed it because his supervisor kept him late, again, without overtime, again. He'd walk the 40 minutes home like he always did when this happened. But the woman across from him, she looked like she'd never walked anywhere in her life. She wore a coat that probably cost more than his monthly paycheck. Charcoal gray, tailored, the kind of thing people wore in movies about New York. But she had no scarf, no gloves, and her phone was dead in her hand, the screen black no matter how many times she pressed the button. She was shaking. Caleb didn't know her name was Vivienne Cross. He didn't know she was the CEO of Crossmark Industries, a tech empire worth $4.3 billion. He didn't know that 6 hours ago, she'd fired her driver for leaking her schedule to the press, or that her car had broken down 3 miles from here, or that her phone died while she was trying to call for help. He didn't know she'd walked until her heels gave her blisters, or that she'd sat down at this bus stop in a neighborhood she'd never even driven through, wondering if this was some kind of cosmic joke. All he knew was that she was cold. Here. He unzipped his jacket. It was canvas, faded blue, with his name stitched in yellow thread over the pocket. "You need this more than I do." Vivienne looked up. Her eyes were gray sharp, the kind that could cut through a boardroom lie in seconds. But right now, they were just confused. "I what?" "You're freezing," Caleb said simply. He held the jacket out further. "Take it. I'll be fine." She stared at him like he'd just spoken another language. People didn't do this. Not in her world. In her world, every gesture had a price. Every smile had an agenda. She'd learned that the hard way. 3 failed relationships, each one ending when the man wanted her money more than her. A board full of shareholders who smiled to her face and schemed behind her back. Assistants who sold stories. Friends who only called when they needed something. Why? The word came out smaller than she meant it to. Caleb shrugged. "Because you're cold and I have a jacket." It was the simplest answer she'd ever heard. And somehow the most disarming. She reached out slowly, like she thought it might disappear. The jacket was warm from his body, and when she pulled it around her shoulders, it smelled like laundry detergent and something else. Something human. Real. Her eyes burned, and she hated that. She was Vivienne Cross. She didn't cry at bus stops. "Thank you," she whispered. Caleb sat down on the other end of the bench, putting space between them so she wouldn't feel crowded. He didn't ask her name. Didn't ask what she was doing here. He just sat, hands in his pockets, looking up at the clouded sky. "Bus won't come back until 6 a.m., he said after a moment. "I'm walking home. It's about 40 minutes. There's a diner halfway if you want to stop and get warm. Call someone from there maybe." Vivienne looked down at her dead phone. Her penthouse was 12 miles away. Her office was downtown. She had no cash, no working credit cards on her because she'd left her purse in the car. She had nothing. And this stranger was offering her a way forward. I can't pay you," she said, the words tasting like humiliation. Caleb looked at her then, really looked, and his eyes were kind. Brown and tired and kind. "I'm not asking you to." Something cracked in her chest. Small but real. "Okay," she said quietly. "Okay." They walked in silence for the first 10 minutes. Vivienne's heels clicked against the cracked sidewalk, each step a small punishment. Caleb kept his pace slow, matching hers without comment. The streets were quiet, just the distant hum of traffic and the occasional bark of a dog behind a fence. "You can take them off," Caleb said finally. "The shoes. If they hurt." Vivienne almost laughed. "And walk barefoot on this." She gestured at the ground. "Better than bleeding." He stopped, bent down, and untied his work boots. They were scuffed, worn at the toes. "Here. They'll be too big, but better than nothing. You can't give me your shoes." Her voice came out sharper than she meant. "You've already given me your jacket." Caleb straightened, holding the boots. "I have socks. Thick ones. I'll be fine." "Why are you doing this?" The question burst out of her, raw. "You don't know me. I could be anyone. I could be dangerous." He smiled then, soft and sad. "You're not dangerous. You're just cold and stuck and probably having the worst night of your life." He held the boots closer. "Let somebody help you." Vivienne felt something in her throat, thick and hot. When was the last time someone helped her without wanting something back? She couldn't remember. She took the boots. They were warm inside. Too big, yes, but warm. She tied the laces as tight as they'd go and left her heels on the sidewalk. Caleb picked them up without a word and carried them. "You don't have to do that," she said. "I know." They kept walking. Caleb in his socks, Vivienne in his boots and jacket. If anyone had seen them, they would have looked absurd. But there was no one. Just the two of them and the November night. "What's your name?" Vivienne asked. Her voice was quieter now. Less armor. "Caleb. Caleb Romano." "Vivienne." She paused. "Just Vivienne." "Nice to meet you, just Vivienne." There was a smile in his voice. She felt her lips twitch. When was the last time she'd smiled? "You're walking home from work?" "Yeah. Missed the bus. Happens sometimes." "What do you do?" "Warehouse. Load trucks, move inventory. Nothing fancy." He said it without shame. Just fact. Vivienne thought about her corner office, the view of the city skyline, the assistants and the meetings and the power. None of it felt real right now. This, walking next to a stranger in borrowed boots, this felt real. "Do you like it?" she asked. Caleb thought about that. "It's honest work. Pays the bills. My mom always said that's enough." "Is it? Enough?" He looked at her then, and something in his eyes was older than his years. "Some days yes. Some days no. But I wake up and I do it anyway. That's life, isn't it?" Vivienne had spent 15 years building an empire. She had cars and houses and stock options and power. She had everything. And this man, walking in his socks on a cold November night, had something she'd lost somewhere along the way. Peace. "I forgot that," she said softly. "That life could be simple." "It's not always simple," Caleb said. "But it can be good. Small good. Like hot coffee on a cold morning. Or your favorite song on the radio. Or..." He gestured between them. "Meeting someone at a bus stop." The diner appeared ahead, its neon sign flickering pink and blue. Rosie's, open 24 hours. Through the window, Vivienne could see vinyl booths and a tired waitress refilling coffee. It looked like a postcard from another era. "Here we are," Caleb said. He held the door open. The warmth hit her immediately, and with it, the smell of coffee and frying bacon. It was 9:47 p.m. and the place was nearly empty. Just a truck driver in the corner and an old man reading a newspaper. They slid into a booth near the back. The vinyl was cracked but clean. Caleb ordered 2 coffees and a plate of fries to share. When the waitress walked away, Vivienne realized she was starving. She'd skipped lunch for a meeting. Skipped dinner for a conference call. Her stomach growled audibly. Caleb pushed the sugar packets toward her. "You look like you haven't eaten all day." "I haven't." The admission felt strange. Vulnerable. "Me neither. Hence the fries." He poured 3 sugars into his coffee. "Not gourmet, but it'll warm you up." When the fries came, they were golden and steaming. Vivienne took one, and it was perfect. Salty and hot and simple. She closed her eyes. "Good?" Caleb asked. Better than anything I've had all week." And she meant it. They ate in comfortable silence. Then Vivienne said, "Can I ask you something?" "Sure." "Why did you help me? Really?" Caleb set down his coffee. "My mom died 3 years ago. Cancer. Near the end, she told me something." His voice went soft. "She said the world makes us hard. Makes us forget we're all just people trying to get through. She said, Caleb, when you see someone who needs help, help them. Don't think about it. Just do it. Because someday, you'll be the one who needs help, and you'll hope someone stops." Vivienne felt tears slide down her face before she could stop them. She wiped them quickly, but Caleb had already seen. "I'm sorry," she said. "I don't usually." "It's okay." His hand moved across the table, stopping just short of hers. "It's been a long night." She looked at his hand. Calloused. Strong. Honest. And she did something she hadn't done in 5 years. She reached out and took it. "Thank you," she whispered, "for seeing me." Caleb's fingers curled around hers, warm and steady. "You're easy to see, Vivienne." They stayed in that diner for 2 hours. The coffee kept coming, and so did the conversation. Vivienne told him about her car breaking down, though she left out the part about the penthouse and the company. Caleb told her about his neighborhood, the noise, the rent hikes, the neighbors who looked out for each other anyway. "Do you have family?" Vivienne asked. "Besides your mom, I mean." "No. She was it. Dad left when I was 6. No siblings." He said it matter-of-factly, but Vivienne heard the loneliness underneath. "Me too," she said. "I mean, my parents are alive. Somewhere. We don't talk. They wanted me to marry someone they chose. I wanted to build something myself. We haven't spoken in 12 years. That's a long time to be alone." "Yeah." She looked down at her coffee. "It is." "But you built something," Caleb said. "You said you wanted to. Did you?" Vivienne thought about Crossmark. The headquarters. The employees. The innovation. The money. "Yes. I did." "Then it wasn't for nothing." She looked up at him. "Even if I'm sitting in a diner in borrowed boots with nowhere to go." "Especially then," Caleb said. "Because you're still here. Still going. That takes strength." Something in Vivienne's chest loosened. She'd been carrying so much weight for so long. The company, the decisions, the loneliness. And this stranger, this kind man in a diner saw her. Not her title. Not her money. Just her. "Can I tell you something?" she asked. "Anything." "I haven't felt this human in years." Caleb smiled. "That's the best compliment I've ever gotten." They laughed then, real laughter, and it felt like light breaking through. The waitress came by with the check. Caleb reached for his wallet, but Vivienne touched his wrist. "Wait. I need to tell you something." He looked at her, patient. I'm not who you think I am." She took a breath. "My name is Vivienne Cross. I run a company called Crossmark Industries. I'm very wealthy, Caleb. And I didn't tell you because I needed, to just be a person for a night. No guards. No agenda. Just me." Caleb sat back. His face was unreadable. Vivienne's heart hammered. This was where it would break. Where he'd get angry, or worse, change. Start calculating. Start wanting. But then he said, "Okay. Okay. Yeah, okay." He shrugged. "You're still the woman who was cold at the bus stop. You're still the woman who shared fries with me. That doesn't change." Vivienne felt something enormous move through her. Relief. Joy. Disbelief. You don't want anything?" Caleb looked confused. "Like what?" "Money. A job. An investment. That's what everyone wants." "I didn't help you for that," he said quietly. "I helped you because you needed help. That's it." And there it was. The thing she'd been searching for in boardrooms and galas and relationships that crumbled. Genuine goodness. No price tag. "I want to see you again," she said. The words tumbled out. Not as a CEO. Not as anything but this. Can we do that? Caleb's smile was slow and real. I'd like that. Really? Really? He reached across the table and took her hand again. But you have to know, I can't afford fancy restaurants or any of that. If we do this, it's diners and bus stops and walks. That sounds perfect, Vivienne said. And she meant it more than anything she'd ever meant. They left the diner at midnight. Caleb insisted on walking her to a cab, but Vivienne made a call first. Within 15 minutes, a car arrived. Not her usual driver, someone new, discreet. Before she got in, Vivienne took off the jacket. Here, you'll need this. Keep it, Caleb said. For now. You can give it back on our next walk. She smiled, clutching the jacket. When? Friday? Same bus stop. 6 p.m. I'll be there. She started to get in the car, then turned back. Caleb. Yeah, you saved me tonight. More than you know. He stepped closer, and in the streetlight, his face was open and honest. You saved me too, Vivienne. She didn't know what made her do it. Maybe it was the night, or the warmth still in her chest, or the way he looked at her like she mattered. But she stepped forward and kissed his cheek. Soft, brief, real. Friday, she whispered. Friday, he promised. The car pulled away, and Caleb stood there in his socks, watching until the taillights disappeared. His face hurt from smiling. Friday came. Vivienne arrived at the bus stop at 5:55 p.m., wearing jeans and sneakers and his jacket. Caleb was already there, holding 2 coffees. You came, he said, like he'd been worried she wouldn't. I came, she said, like she'd never considered anything else. They walked, and talked, and laughed. And somewhere between the bus stop and the diner, between the broken sidewalk and the November stars, Vivienne Cross stopped being a billionaire CEO and Caleb Romano stopped being invisible. They were just 2 people who found each other in the cold. And that was everything. 6 months later, Caleb would meet her in the same spot, but this time, he'd have a key to her penthouse and she'd have a key to his heart. They'd still walk. Still share fries at Rosie's. Still choose each other, every single day. Because real love doesn't care about bank accounts or zip codes. It only cares about showing up. And they both did. What's the most unexpected place you've found connection? Share your story below. We love hearing how love finds us when we least expect it.